Here is site 2. Nice long driveway. And okay, picnic table, fire pit, great shade. Probably put my tent straight ahead here. A little bit of a claustrophobic site. You got a little swath of forest. So I said great shade, but there's only probably a couple places you can even fit a tent. Not a ginormous site by any stretch. Kind of an interestingly designed campground, Trillium Lake. We'll be coming back 37 to 57 over there, but for now we're going 3 to 16 this way. 57 sites overall, so it's a bit of a maze. Here's site 3. This one already feels a little bit bigger and better than site 2 was. This is more on the Trillium Lake side. Nice big driveway. Might even be wide enough for 2 vehicles, depending on the size of the vehicle. And loving this. Got looks like a path directly to a beautiful Trillium Lake. Got a big picnic table, fire pit, barbecue station. There's your forest road over there. But this is great. This is a good one. I'm digging this. Got a big swath of Mount Hood National Forest, old growth forest. Several different places you could potentially put your tent, depending on how offset you want to be. There's a little bit of a Trillium Lake Shoreline trail that's on the other side of this grove of trees. So be aware of that. You probably will have a little bit of foot traffic coming by. It's part of the incumbent trade-off of being right up against Trillium Lake is you're going to get more foot traffic in your proximity. And it's come down here. This is your private access from site 3. And here's the shoreline trail I was talking about. People will be moseying on by there and there. So you'll hear a little bit of foot traffic next to your site, but you do have this access point directly to Trillium Lake. This is gorgeous, my friend. Oh, look at that. A little ethereal fog coming off the lake. And let's continue along. So yes, this is the forested Trillium Lake Trail. I love how shaded it is. It gives it kind of a really cool vibe. And there's the continuation of the trail. So let's hike back to site 3. This is your kind of side access from site 3 direct to Trillium Lake, the feature of this campground, namesake of this campground. Again, there's back to site 3. So I gotta say, site 3 is pretty decent. If you value proximity to the lake, then site 3 is outstanding. If you're all about the privacy, then probably wouldn't do it. Right there, you got bathroom kiosk, very nice. Let's continue along. Okay, so here is site 4. On the right there, you've got wastewater, no sewage. Nice long driveway, pretty wide, big enough for any vehicle. Got a nice little swath of forest here. I see a clearing. You could probably put a tent right over there. Picnic table, fire pit. You do have a neighbor straight ahead, but you got pretty good line of sight blockage with these old growth trees. You are right on the Trillium Lake feature. As I said, I'd probably put my tent maybe right over there. Or straight ahead, actually, right there is a good spot too. And here's the trail. So here's your shoreline access from site 4, community located. People on the trail could obviously use this as well. Right there is your beautiful Trillium Lake. So site 3 and site 4 are right up against the lake, premium Trillium Lake access, but poor privacy because of all the shoreline hikers going by. So it's a trade-off. Everything in life is trade-offs. But all in all, I'd say those are both really high quality sites. I'm digging 3 and 4. Here's 5 straight ahead. You can see the brown sign. 5's an inner, so it's not on the feature. So I'm more inclined to like the outers, the ones on the feature up against Trillium Lake. So it's already a ding against it from my point of view. Just being on the inner, it's a nice big wide driveway. Great driveway, can fit any car. There's a picnic table, fire pit straight ahead. Often because when you're in an inner, you have fishbowl complex, you get poor line of sight privacy. There's your fire pit and picnic table. You're right up against the bathroom. That's convenient if you got to go to the bathroom a lot, but it's not great as far as privacy because you'll hear people going to the bathroom regularly. Middle of the night, that could wake you up. All in all, not a fan of 5. It's an inner, poor line of sight. You're not up against a feature. Bad privacy. So, see, now look at 4 across the way as we're walking by. I'd much rather be a 4 than 5, personally. Let's continue along. So here's a crosswalk for the trail, which is cutting across the campground. You can see over there and over there, over to Trillium Lake. When you have such a big campground like this, 57 sites, there's the logistics of all the other people occupying the other sites wanting to get to the lake. So they actually have to have a trail system like across the campground just to traffic the people over to the shoreline, which is why they're staying at Trillium Lake. Here's 6. Nice driveway. Good swath of forest, good shade. Again, you're right up against Trillium Lake, so you're going to have good access, but you're also going to have a lot of shoreline hikers nosing on by. Oh, I like that flight spot right here. Great place to put a tent. Here's your fire pit. Also could put a tent over there. So I feel like there's 2 really easily defined, cleared out spots where it seems obvious you put a tent. So 2 choices on that. And then look how close this is to the shoreline trail. Like it's like 10, 15 feet and bam, you're right on the shoreline trail. So again, there's the shoreline trail going that way, shoreline trail going that way. So beautiful, but 6 has got even worse privacy lines than 3 and 4 do. So, I mean, you're essentially sitting, what is that, 15 feet away from the shoreline trail. And this is a busy area, so you'll have a steady stream of people going by. So 6 is definitely not good privacy. You are basically right up against the shoreline trail. So it's trade-offs. Is the access, the premium, convenient, close access worth kind of being right up against the shoreline trail? That is for each person to decide for themselves. And here is 7. It's an inner, nice long driveway. Ooh, I like 7 better than I liked 5 or 2. They're all inners, but this one seems to have a better layout. Here's your picnic table, your fire pit, good little swath of forest. Got a pretty good division from 5 to our right. Ooh, yeah, I like this a lot. You could put a tent right here, or you could put a tent straight ahead. Even though this one's an inner, it's a really good inner because the lot lines, privacy lines are well developed. So 7 is very well crafted. As far as privacy lot lines, 7 might arguably be the best of the first 7, even though it is an inner. So if you want a little swath of privacy, but you do have your friend over there, his picnic table straight ahead. But I would still say out of the first 7, 7's the most private, although it's not on the shoreline. So you got a little bit of a under 1 minute hike to the shoreline. You got a water spigot right here. It's for bearings. That's the forest road we're coming down. And we got 8 on our right here. Nice long driveway. This is an inner, not up against the feature, but better privacy lines in this case because of the carving design layout of the campground. Got a picnic table, fire pit, and some good canopy. And you do have 7 over there, but you have pretty good blockage. Got a flat spot here, although there's that one little part of a tree. Probably would consequently put my tent over here. Yeah, this feels like the natural spot right there. So I'd probably put my tent right here. It kind of feels like it's intended to be where they want you to put your tent. But this is great privacy lines, actually. Look at this. I'm pretty impressed by 7 and 8. 7 and 8 are pretty high quality. Normally the inner loops aren't nearly as good, but these are actually really well crafted and carved design layout wise as far as Trillium Campground design. So I'm pretty impressed by 7 and 8. I would stay at 7 or 8, and that's pretty unusual because I don't normally like the inners, but you can see the people who crafted these, like I'll say the master planners of the Trillium Lake Campground design layout were actually very thoughtful, which I appreciate. I greatly appreciate in the way they designed it. So 7 and 8 are really good privacy plays. Here's site 9 on the Trillium Lake side. You can see it's pretty open. This is the forest road, the forest campground road, and see how open it is to your picnic table and fire pit. So it's a little suboptimal. Let's take a look. You've got your long driveway. Again, your picnic table and fire pit we were just looking at. I don't like how close this is to the forest road. It kind of feels exposed. You've got clearly a flat spot straight ahead to put your tent, so I'd put my tent over here. It feels like it's really the only place you could put it. But see, look right down here, you see that sign that says amphitheater? That right there is your Shoreline trail. So you've got people walking by there, got your tent right here, so you can hear people talking as you're in your tent as they walk by. And then the front of your campsite has no blockage to the forest road. So I'm not a fan of 9. I feel like it's the worst of both worlds, because you're kind of not getting privacy on the front or the back of it. So if you want to be on the Trillium side, I'd probably go with 3 or 6 before I'd go with 9. And if you care more about privacy, I'd go with 7 or 8, which aren't against Trillium, but have a better design layout. But we are early. There's 57 sites, and we've only seen 9 of them. Here's another one of these crossing for the Trillium Lake trail system. Trillium Lake Campground has its own trail system just to get to the shoreline. And here is 10, just to give you bearings. 11's across the way. Looks like 12's probably up there. So here's our parking. And again, beautiful section of Mount National Forest. It's such a beautiful area that, like, every time I come up to a campsite, practically I'm blown away by the gorgeousness of the area. Now this has got a massive flat area for a tent, although you can see a couple picnic tables with an unobscured line of sight, so that's a little suboptimal. Here's your picnic table and fire pit. I'd probably be more inclined to put my tent right over there, straight ahead, because then at least you have some blockage, a little bit more privacy, a little bit more offset into the forest. This is kind of interesting. See, you can see it kind of, this right here is the internal Trillium Lake campground trail system meandering right by your site here. See this paved path, and here's 10. So for me, that's a strike against 10, because you will have an endless stream of people from different parts of the campground walking by here, that kind of walking right through your site. Gonna put my tent right there. You've got a flat area over here, but you've got pretty poor line of sight blockage with a double picnic table over there. So 10's got a beautiful feel to it as far as the design, but it just has very poor privacy. So I probably wouldn't do 10. I'm not the biggest fan. I still like 7 or 8 better than 10. Okay, here's 11. This is on the Trillium Lake side. It's an outer. Got a nice long driveway. And ooh, I like the way this is carved with the trees. You've got line of sight privacy from the forest road. You got your fire pit, picnic table. At least you do on that side over there. You got a little bit of visibility, but this is pretty good actually. I like 11. The thing I don't like about 11 is, I mean, this is the Shoreline trail, so I don't want to sound like a broken record. I know I'm making the same observation over and over again. But so this is your Shoreline trail, people moseying on by the perimeter of Trillium Lake, and oh, lo and behold, look, this is your site. So you are absolutely fishbowled from anybody walking by. You're like, hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? All day. That would be annoying to me personally. I like to kind of get away from civilization when I'm camping and not be that fishbowled. So see how close this is? So if that's a deal breaker for me, candidly. I'd probably put my tent straight ahead, but now you're kind of right next to the forest road. So I walked up getting excited about 11, but after I really analyzed it, I didn't like 11 as much as I thought I was going to. Again, that's 10 across the way. Let's continue along. Here's the wastewater only on the left. Again, like if you were at 11, your tent would probably be right over there. That's the only place you could put it. That's not very great. Got your kiosk restroom station right there, across from 12. Here's 12. And this one looks like it has multiple parking spots. You got this one on the left, this one on the right. There's our nomenclature. 12. I'm gonna come this way. I see it's a double. You got 2 picnic tables over there, so it's got 2 parking spots. It's kind of interesting. You've got a fire pit right here, and you've got a barbecue station, I like to call them. You got your 2 picnic tables over there. You're a little offset from the Shoreline Trail. You can see the Shoreline Trail to the right of that tree straight ahead, but it's not like right up in your business, so a little bit better privacy. I'm kind of liking 12 right now. It is a double, so looks like it's going to be obviously more expensive. So picnic table 1, and you're sitting here, you get silhouette of Trillium Lake, which is nice. And you got the other picnic table, your fire pit over here. So you get 2 fire pits, a barbecue station, and 2 picnic tables. And you got 2 parking spots. So 12's actually pretty interesting. Here's the perspective of the second parking spot. As far as tent placement, you could put a tent right here. Feels like this side has got a little bit more flatter spots, candidates for your tent. The more you come over here, I don't know. I guess you could put one straight ahead, kind of in front of the fire pit, but I would assume you'd want like chairs and be sitting next to the fire pit. So you could put like a tent over here, but that's starting to get a little weird. I guess you can put a tent straight ahead, but the more deeper you go into the forest, like if you put a tent right here, you're right. Now you're like 10, 15 feet away from the Shoreline Trail. So early morning hikers walking by talking are gonna wake you up. Hope you weren't planning on sleeping in because you won't be allowed to. So I gotta say though, overall, as far as a double, 12 is pretty nice. So I liked 12. I think I would recommend 12. I feel like when you're doing a campground or a campsite review, it's all just a matter of trade-offs, privacy and access and layout, etc. But overall, I'd say 12 was pretty high quality as far as a double goes. I liked 12. Let's continue along. Remember also it's right across from the restrooms. And our next one over here, 13. It's on the Trillium Lake side. To give you layout, looks like 14 is going to be over there. There's 13. Ooh, I like this. This is feeling good. Nice long, well-paved driveway. Big kind of flat area. This is a very flat campsite. If you got members of your party that don't do well with hills, then 13 is a really good candidate because this is probably the flattest one I've found so far. Got your picnic table. Probably put my tent either straight ahead there or over here. Yeah, 13 is kind of a very straightforward campsite. It's like a big flat central location. There's your fire pit. You do have direct access if you walk straight over to the Shoreline Trail straight ahead, but at least it's a little offset. I don't know when it is 30 or 40 feet away to the point where it's not like they're walking 10 feet away from your picnic table, which can feel a little boundary violating. So 13 is actually pretty good. I like 13. 13 is legit. If you want proximity to the lake, but without the Shoreline Trail like right on top of you, and you want a good flat sturdy site, and 13 might be the site for you. It's a good site. I will say the crafters of Trillium Lake Campground did a above average job as far as their design layouts, being thoughtful of the tree line of sights, etc. So I'm pretty impressed overall by the campground so far. Here's a water spigot. Here's 14. Here's well-paved driveway. Also, all of the parking is very well paved. I wouldn't assume that that's always the case at every campground, and it's pretty darn amazing here. A lot of them have broken driveways, so this is good. So this is nice. You got your picnic table and fire pit. I like 14. Again, there's the proximity of the Shoreline Trail. It's over here to the right, kind of around this bank of trees, gives you some high quality privacy, better than average here. So you got your fire pit, you got your picnic table, probably put your tent straight ahead is really the obvious place. So this is actually a pretty good one. I like 14. I'm digging 14. This is nice. Line of sight with 13 next to you is pretty good, not really an issue. You got this kind of dense section of forest. The Shoreline Trail is the other side of it, but it doesn't feel like it's in your business. So kind of check out here. Obviously that's the forest road and the next site straight ahead, but it feels pretty blocked off. So 14 is great. I really like 14. 13 and 14 were particularly nice in my opinion. Decent privacy lines and pretty good proximity to Trillium Lake. So this one does not appear, well, I'm sure you could just cut through these trees actually. So they say it doesn't have like a primrose path, you know, perfectly carved to the lake, but maybe that's a good thing as far as privacy lines, and you can very easily just walk over the lake. So water spigot in front of 14, and here's 15. This is an inner. Got your nice long driveway, a couple picnic tables. Could denote it being a double, or it could just be a single that happens to have two. You have to check recreation.gov. So this is an inner. I like the location of this fire pit. I like these picnic tables. Looks like you got friend over there. Probably put your tent straight ahead. This looks like the flattest location. Over there you got picnic table, so maybe you can put it straight ahead over there. You can tuck tents in a couple spots. It's an inner. Feels a little fishbowl just because of the way the forest road meanders all the way around it, like a half of a circle, and you're not really up against anything. So I am a little less enthusiastic about 15. I mean, this is a gorgeous section of forest, don't get me wrong. You're at Trillium Lake, and you're probably just already winning at life because this is a beautiful area. Ooh, I will say, look at that little swath of Mount Hood straight ahead. So that's something special that 15 has. This is just a good lot line. It just happens to be a clearing here in the forest. So 15's got a direct shot to Mount Hood. So if being able to see the peak from your site is a priority, then that's winning. I will point out, if you're sitting at your picnic tables, I'll actually come over and do it. If you're sitting at your picnic tables, you could literally just look up and see Mount Hood, and that's kind of special. So that definitely is something I don't want to overlook. So let's say you're sitting here. Oh, nice. So you're sitting down here, just hanging out, and you look up. Oh, what's that? It's my friend Mount Hood, tallest mountain in the great state of Oregon. So the view of the peak of Mount Hood from your picnic table at site 15 is the best I've seen so far. If it wasn't for that, it's not my favorite, just because, as I was saying, it's an inner, and you do have the forest road kind of a semicircle around you. But if you covet the mountain view, which is an understandable thing to covet, then 15 is actually pretty darn amazing. So trade-offs. Ooh, the sun's starting to come up. I started this just after sunrise. It is cold. It's 29 degrees. My fingers are turning pink, but that's okay. Here is site 16. I will point out that this is a little campground shoreline trail, so that if you go down there, that's going to take you, I'm sure that connects to the main shoreline trail around Trillium Lake. So it's an access point. This says double site on the ground, 16. So you got two picnic tables straight ahead. First I'll do the driveway, then I'll come back and look at the infrastructure. So it's a roundabout driveway, which I always appreciate. That's always really good for like an RV. You don't have to reverse. And here's a lot of great flat spots. So 16's, I would say, great for an RV. You've got the access to Trillium just right across the forest road, very conveniently located, for a little hike down to the lake. And then you've got these two picnic tables. You've got this roundabout, and here's your barbecue station. Some hot dogs or some hamburgers, whatever suits you. Very nice. I'd probably put a tent straight ahead. If you're in an RV, you're probably in your RV, but if you're a tent camper, I'd probably put my tent right there. So 16's pretty darn high quality, actually. So far as it depends which hat you're wearing. If I'm looking at this from an RV perspective, 16 is definitely the winner so far. I think this is a really beautiful area. You've got 15 over there, but it's not too crazy in your business. So you got good privacy lot lines overall. You're kind of on the edge of this 3 to 16 section, because this is number 16. And you've got this, really the first properly developed roundabout parking driveway so far of the first 16. So I am highly recommending 16 if you are an RVer. In the first 16 of the 57, 16 would be your winner from an RV perspective. And let's continue along. Now we're getting sites 17 through 29. First 16 are done. We will be going straight. Sure, we'll be coming back one way. Yes, that's right. And now we're hiking up to 17. And here's 17. It's an inner on the right. Well-paved parking, big, wide, easy to park at. Picnic table, fire pit, barbecue station. And it's not a huge area. It's not like a big wide section of forest, but it is a beautiful forest. I like this mix of trees. You could obviously put a tent right there. I feel like that's the natural design. Also, I will point out poor privacy lines. See that picnic table right there? That's your neighbor, and here's you. So for me, 17, although it feels well carved in here when you first walk up, once you look over and see your neighbors right there, it's a little bit of a claustrophobic section too. So it feels a little constrained. So I probably would not do 17. Although I'll point out that even the ones I like less here just have a magic to them. Like 17 is pretty awesome, even though I probably wouldn't stay at that one. I got a good vibe from it. Here's 18. You got your driveway. This is on the outer Trillium Lake side, so that's good. Here's our nice long parking. This one's definitely got a little bit of a Swiss Family Robinson feel to it. Also feels a bit claustrophobic. Let me scan back here and just kind of give you, there's 19 over there. There's the forest road. Got a step down here, and this is a very small area. Yeah, this is very claustrophobic. Fire pit, picnic table, and you're kind of trapped in here. You have clearly room for a tent straight ahead or a tent right here, although you're right up against a forest road. It's not that much better over here, but I'd probably put my tent right there. Yeah, this is just like 3 square meals in a cot type mentality. Like there's nothing going on at this campsite. This is like, I want a base camp and I'm not gonna spend time at my site. I'm going hiking. I'm going up to Timberline or something, and I just need a place to crash for the night. And that's, you know, perhaps a good one, but I wouldn't do 18. If you got like a single family party and you kind of want to hang out at your site, then 18 is a bit of a claustrophobic nightmare. Not to be melodramatic, but I would get very stir crazy and feel a little trapped if I was just hanging out at 18 all day. So that's a base campsite, I'll call it. Here's 19. Nice driveway. Feels nice and tucked in here. But it's got the lot line issue with 17 to the right. So I put the tent straight ahead. You see the picnic table on the other side of that? See, that's kind of horrible, because if, let's say you put your tent right there and then you're in your tent and then you got people up late at night, like 20, 15, 20 feet away from you, you're gonna be able to hear them talking from your tent. That's not good. And then look over here, you see that picnic table between the trees straight ahead, that's 17. This is 19. So 19 is kind of horrible as far as lot lines, because you got 17 right there. You got your new friends right there. If you want to put your tent in a different location, I guess you could put it right there straight ahead. That would probably be a better spot, but it doesn't really solve the other issues. So I don't know. I wouldn't do 19. Not digging it. Probably the poorest lot line campsite so far out of the first 19, I would say. So I would steer clear of 19 personally. And here's 20. Let's give you the bearing of the campground road turning. Here's again our water spigot, so it's to your left. I like how shaded this is coming up to it. Nice big wide long driveway. This is gonna be great in July or August, yeah, as far as the shade. But this is again a bit claustrophobic. This section seems more claustrophobic than the earlier sites we did. Kind of tucked in here. Here's your fire pit, here's your picnic table. Really the only place you can probably even put your tent is right there. I will say though that they did a good job wrapping it around a corner. You got this tree canopy. So in your tent, you will feel private. So that's good. 20 is very small square footage. And then you also have a direct trail to the Shoreline Trail, but it's an offset, so the sound of the voices of people walking by shouldn't be too intrusive. You have more of a sense of privacy. So I actually like 20 because it's better carved into the forest with privacy. So I definitely like 20 better than I liked 19 or 18. 20 again though, to me is more of a base camp situation. Like you just kind of want to have somewhere to crash. You know, it depends on what you're doing up here. You know, are you just trying to hang out at Trillium, or are you going to do some epic hiking? 20 is a great base camp for like a wilderness adventure, but it's probably not good for a single family just trying to hang out at the campground all day. So here's 21. Now that is a long driveway. Just to show you, 22 is over there. So 21, this is probably another one of these great RV plays. 16 was a great RV play, and now 21 appears to be a great RV play. You don't have to reverse at all. You got big wide parking, you don't have to really worry about it. Although I will say 16 was way higher quality as far as the site itself. This is just, you know, 3 square meals and a cot mentality. I like that expression maybe too much. Picnic table, fire pit, barbecue station, and that's it. Like square footage of forest is almost nil, and it's very claustrophobic. So yeah, great parking for an RV, and you see you've got the restroom right straight ahead. So you got good bathroom access. You've got all the basics, fire pit, the barbecue station, the picnic table, but that's all you got. So if I'm an RV, I would much prefer 16 over 21. You do have kind of poor lot lines with your friends straight ahead. Here, I already just went to that one a couple minutes ago. So, but you do have good bathroom access, I'll give it that. So I would not personally do 21 unless I was an RV and 16 was already taken. Then 21 would be serviceable, but not idyllic, kind of how I would frame it. Okay, 22. This is on the outer, so this is the Trillium Lake side. Kind of has a mysterious approach. I guess around the corner is going to be picnic table, but that's good for privacy lines. So you park here, and yeah, actually I'm digging 22. This is neat. I like it when it's offset and around a corner like this. This is actually what I want. So this is good. Oh yeah, I like this a lot. This is 22. They've put in the effort of putting it around a corner here, so you have a natural like demarcation line. Look at this. So just because you've got this barrier of trees, now you feel like you're in your own oasis. I really like 22. You got your picnic table, you got your fire pit. Obvious from the design, they want you to put your tent over here. It's a natural flat spot. So I think that would be great. You're kind of surrounded by trees in a good way, so you got some privacy. So 22 is actually very interesting. I'm really liking 22. From a single family, single party trying to maximize their privacy, 22 might be the best one so far, actually. It's kind of hard to keep a running tally of ultimately 57 sites as you go, so a lot of times I go back and review the footage and make slightly different decisions once I see them all in totality. But let's walk down here and see where this takes us. This appears to be a footpath. And yeah, I'll stop right here, but this does appear to take you to the Shoreline Trail, but it's meandering enough in a good way that it gives you a natural breakage and privacy lines from said shoreline path. So I'm really liking 22 a lot from the perspective of a single family, single party trying to maximize their privacy but still being at Trillium Lake. I think 22 might be a hidden gem. I don't really see anything wrong with it. You've got this barrier of trees from the forest road. You've got an obvious place to put your tent, which feels kind of private. Picnic table, fire pit, and you do have a shoreline access trail, but it's meandering enough that it gives you privacy lines. So I don't know, 22 single family point of view might be my favorite so far. It's not on the lake, but you've got proximity to the lake and the privacy is so strong that I think that's a good trade-off personally. So that's why it's fun to walk these, because you can never possibly get this information just like going online. That's why I like to walk the whole thing and just kind of analyze it, because I wouldn't have guessed on the front end that I would like 22 as much as I did, but I really did. So here's the wastewater, no sewage for 23. 23, there's a spigot. And we are technically on the Trillium Lakeside. Remember, there's the restroom right there. Come here and park. This one's got the same kind of vibe as 22. So they really did a good job on 22 and 23, I gotta say. This is my kind of camping. So really good shade. Feels like you're offset here into the forest in a good way. A ways from the forest road, the campground road. 22's to your left, but you can't even see it. So a good line of sight breakage. Kind of on the edge of the campground here. So this is great. I like your fire pit. Ooh, I like 23 a lot. This is great. I'm getting excited. These are really good sites. So here's your picnic. Here's your tent. And this is nice. This is a big area of forest. I'll say 22 definitely is a low claustrophobic compared to 23. 23 feels nice and open. And you could put your tent either right there. Again, there's your picnic table, fire pit. You can put your tent straight ahead. You can put your tent right there. So you got 3 great locations to put your tent. And then it looks like you do have your own private campsite specific side trail. Presumably this would take you down to the Trillium Lake Shoreline loop and ultimately to Trillium Lake Shoreline. So yeah, but look at that. You don't have to worry about, people moseying by your site because there's a huge breakage. So you probably won't even be able to hear them talking. Maybe a slight murmuring occasionally, but definitely not intrusive or in your business. So I really like this one a lot. 23 is awesome. This might be like a hidden gem. 23 and 22, the last 2 I did, are definitely my favorite. I think I would rather have a private layout like this and not necessarily be right up against the lake, because I don't know if I would take the trade-off of having people hiking by my side all day. It's like at a certain point, yeah, you're a little closer to the lake, but are you really enjoying it if you have like 100 people walk by you? So I really like 22 and 23. So far, my mentality, everybody's got their own prioritization. Nobody's necessarily right or wrong, but for me, 22 and 23 are the best so far for what I would do with my family. To each his or her own. And again, here's the kiosk restroom. Even the restroom, they did a good job kind of offsetting into the forest. So if somebody's coming to use that, it doesn't feel like they're kind of annoying 22 or 23. So even that part of it is well designed. Some campgrounds, the restroom is like right up against it and it kind of feels centralized, and then it's louder and a little bit more intrusive on everybody around. So they did even a good job on that. So little things that add up and create a more high quality experience. Here's 24. This is on the Trillium Lakeside. And let's come around here. I'm digging this. This is kind of the magic row. So I'm feeling good about all these. Again, just lot lines. You do have one across the way you can see. Here's your driveway. Here's your picnic table and fire pit. This one, they turned it back towards the forest road, as you can see, as far as where the picnic table and fire pit is, unlike 22 and 23 where they went deeper into the forest. So for that reason, it's not as good as those two. You're still going to kind of get the sense of cars going by and people going by. So it's not bad. It's pretty good. I mean, it's above average as far as the privacy of a campsite, but not as good as 22 or 23. I'm taking this little campsite specific access trail just for fun. And yeah, I just love this forest. I never get sick of Mount Hood National Forest. You can see it just kind of meanders on. I'm sure that ultimately connects to the Shoreline Trail, because that would make sense. But it's got enough of a breakage from the Shoreline Trail that it's not a privacy issue. So the only thing I don't like about this is just that the picnic table and fire pit feels a little too close to the forest road for my comfort. I'm getting picky because I just did 22 and 23 and they were so awesome that now this one feels worse in comparison, but I'd still say this is in the upper tier of campsites here at Trillium Lake. I dig this one. So I'd recommend that one overall. More positives than negatives. Okay, what number was that again? That was 24. So we're seeing something over here. It's probably 25. Yeah, here's 25. It's an inner. I don't like that you can see the picnic table from the forest road with such a direct line of sight. So that's already kind of a ding against it. Here's the inner. I mean, it's a nice layout from this perspective, but it's a little fishbowled, in my opinion. Nice big area. I'd probably put the tent straight ahead. And there's the picnic table. There's the fire pit. I like the fire pit up against this log. That's cool. You can sit at the log. But look at that. You're sitting at the fire pit. You're staring at the forest road. You're staring at 24. That's not good. Again, there's the tent. There's a tent possibility. I'm not in love with 25. It's not horrible, but I think you can do better here at Trillium. So 25 is serviceable, but not top tier. That would be my take on 25. It's kind of funny. It's 29 degrees, and there's actually a little bit of ice on the ground. I gotta be careful as I'm walking. Every once in a while, it'll be a little slippery. And here we have all of our sideways dumpsters. They do that at the end of the season, part of their winterization. Makes it easier for them to deploy come spring, summer. Here's 26. I'll just give you the lot lines. Here's 27. We're coming back to that one because we're going to stay numerically consistent. Here's 26. Basically, my read is all of these dumpsters are in the driveway of 26. Right here is a campground side trail to get you to Trillium. So for the purposes of analyzing 26, pretend you don't have like 20 dumpsters in your driveway, because that you would not have, but we can walk around them. So you're parking here where the dumpsters are, and here's your site. It's inner and fishbowled. You've got a nice long picnic table. Here's your fire pit. You can sense 25 right over there. So 25 and 26 don't have great privacy lines, and they're inners. I would put my tent right there, straight ahead. You could also put a tent over there. Some interesting logs. If you want to practice your balance beam routine, this is a good site for you. But not really loving 26. It's not horrible, but it's not great. You do also have the main campground and Shoreline trail over here. So people will be walking by you. You'll hear the quiet murmur of people walking by and chatting. So for all those reasons, 26 is not where dreams come from. Here's 27. Here's an outer, nice big wide driveway, which I appreciate. And good shade. The picnic table is right up kind of against where you're parking. I wish it was offset, like 22 and 23. Here's your fire pit. This is kind of an interesting one. It's got some real dark shade in a good way. You can put your tent right there, but then you are right up against a forest road. Not ideal for quiet time. The better spot would maybe put your tent over here. At least you're a little more into the forest, but oh, you do have a picnic table right there. You got your friend right over there. So I'm not loving this one. It's got a little bit of a claustrophobic feel. You're a little too close to the forest road as far as road noise and stuff, and you're not really getting much for it. So I think 27 is a little claustrophobic for my taste. Serviceable, and remember, we've got this connector trail that gives people in this area access over ultimately to the Trillium Lake shoreline. So I'll have some people walking there. Well, we previewed 28. Let's come over here and take a look at it. 28, here's our parking up on the outside of really good shade. I'm digging that. Nice barbecue station. The last one didn't have a barbecue station. This one has a barbecue station, 28 does. And fire pit, picnic table. I like this. Like, this has got a big expansive feel of the forest. So right now I'm kind of digging 28. You have 27 over there, but that's pretty good line of sight from this side. So not a deal breaker. But look at this, like, special magical section of forest. It is your backyard now, your domain. I mean, if you really want to get crazy, you can come over here and put your tent like straight ahead where I'm standing underneath this massive tree. I mean, look at that. It's gorgeous. So this swath of forest is your domain, and the more offset into the forest you come, the farther away you are from that forest campground road. I'm really digging this one. I think this is really nice, actually. 28. This kind of becomes your own private playground. I love this, actually. This is gorgeous. Look at this. This is beautiful. Oh, I'm digging this big time. So yeah, I mean, this is, as soon as I stepped into 28, I felt a magic. And it's like, you know, the birds are singing, you got some sunbreaks kind of between the trees, a lot of mossy, ethereal trees. It's kind of just a gorgeous old growth forest wonderland zone. If you appreciate like a really old growth forest, you know, kind of the beautiful special quality that only an old growth forest has, then this is a playground for you. So I really like 28. I mean, this is like, I feel like I stepped into a different world as soon as I came down into the forest section of 28. So I am really digging 28 a lot. I think 28 is top tier. Again, the only privacy ding is you got 27 over there, but given the positives, I can live with that, and that's a pretty good distance, and you got some good tree breaks. So 28's a winner chicken dinner. Again, I'll look up at all these trees. I really like 22, 23, and 28 on this section. Probably my 3 favorite of the campground so far. And I was surprised when I was at 27, looked over 28, I did not realize it was gonna be that awesome. So that's why you gotta walk each one. Keep an open mind. All right, so straight ahead is 29. It says camp host. I never know what that means. I don't know if that means it's reservable or not. Some of these campgrounds, you can still go to recreation.gov and reserve them, and the camp host thing is meaningless. Other ones, that means you can't. So check recreation.gov. This one is not great. So you got your forest road, you got 28 over there, but look how open and exposed this is. Here's your main forest road back to the turnoff. So I'm not a fan of 29, just lot line standing here. So I would not pick this one already. Here's your picnic table, your fire pit, your barbecue station. Probably put your tent over there or up there. A couple of flat places you can put your tent. But yeah, I'm not digging 29. I think you can do better. So 29 would be no bueno from my personal perspective. Here is 30 to 36. Let's continue down here. We've got our kiosk restroom on our right. And here is 30 on the left. And looks like this is gonna be a little offset. So you park, nice long driveway, nice little even paved path to your picnic table. So this is very paved, a little less foresty. Picnic table and barbecue station and fire pit. I don't like that it's right up against the forest road. And this is obviously where they want you to put your tent. I don't know. This one's a little too paved for my taste. I would rather kind of feel like I'm in the dirt. I don't feel like you would ever be able to suspend your disbelief that you weren't still, you know, in a parking lot. So I like to actually be on dirt in the forest. So here's this bay. Here's 31. Another good RV one, a good turnout. And you got your picnic table, your fire pit. This one also, this section's interesting. It's got more paving than the other sections. Maybe these were all built at different times. I do not know. But this appears to be a paved path to what presumably would be your tent. That's the obviously intended design. Again, this is a good RV one. I didn't like this one as much as 16, but it would be serviceable. There's really not much going on. You got a water spigot, which is nice. 31 doesn't really have much going on for it, keeping it real. There's no forest to play in. You don't really feel like you're in the forest because there's so much asphalt in this area because you have a massive turnabout. You got the forest road and the driveways for the other campsites that you can just kind of feel like you're hanging out in a parking lot. And I don't like that, what I call like the Walmart parking lotification feel of camping. I understand the need to do some paving for infrastructure, but I would like that to be balanced with a little bit of nature and dirt and forest. And this section seems to not have that balance, right? Here's 32. Again, like everything around here is paved. Not really feeling it. Nice long driveway. I will say this one appears to be better than 30 and 31. So you come over here, a little claustrophobic. You don't really have a big play area. You got your picnic table, got your barbecue station, your fire pit, kind of all mosh pit style on top of each other. And then here's obviously where they want you to put your tent. But beyond that, you don't really have your own domain. And I guess you can put a second tent. So you can put one tent there and one tent there, but that's kind of the extent of your square footage. You can see there's what looks like to me like a little bit of a trail system over to the shoreline. So I don't know, I'm not really feeling 32. It's a bit claustrophobic for my taste. You're kind of in the inner of the inner, because this is an inner loop, inner site, inner loop. So you're just kind of surrounded by other campsites and other campground roads all around you. There's no path to Trillium Lake without basically just walking where I am right now down the road. So I don't know, not feeling it. Here's the side trail to the Trillium Lake shoreline that cuts across the entire campground, and that goes right by your campsite. As I could tell from the campsite that there was a trail next to you. So yeah, I don't like 32. 33, nice long driveway. Again, here's going to be a roundabout on 34. So come down 33, and at least this is offset. I appreciate that. So 33 might be the highest quality in this bay. So at least this isn't right up against the road, which I appreciate. So you got your picnic table, fire pit, and your barbecue station. You could put a tent right here. You could put a tent straight ahead, so you got room for a couple tents. There's the main forest road. You're offset from it, so that's a win. You can see there's forest road over there. So this is pretty good. I'll say this is pretty good. I didn't like this as much as like 22, 23, and 28 because they're up against the forest proper. This is inner. So, but as far as this bay of 30 to 36, 33 is probably the best so far. It might end up being the best of this particular section. So 33 is serviceable. I could stay at 33 and be happy. So 33 is the only one down this particular road that I think is even worthy of consideration, at least from a single family point of view. 34, another roundabout, says double site. This is another good one for like an RV, or as parking and not having to reverse. So it's got a little bit of fancy design. You got some stairs, which I appreciate. And you're offset. So this is a pretty good one. This is a pretty good one, I'd say. This is kind of maybe up there with 16 from an RV's perspective. You got your fire pit, your barbecue station. You do have a section of forest. So that's nice. You could obviously put a tent right there. That's obviously the design. And then coming over here, you could put a tent right there. You could put a tent, looks like straight ahead to the right of that tree there. So this one's actually got a couple good places for tents, a couple of picnic tables. It's a double site. It's got a nice long driveway. This one's pretty good. Now, if you're looking at it from an RV perspective, I think this one and 16 are maybe the best two so far, because at least they have some livable real estate in the forest. So you actually got it out of your RV and you're actually standing here in the forest, and you actually believe that you're in the forest having a nature experience at 34. A couple of the other roundabout ones were very claustrophobic and you never really felt like you left the parking lot. So that's my ding against those. But from an RV perspective, try to remember 16 and 34, I think are the two best that I would recommend thus far. We're 34 out of the 57. There's another paved path that takes you to the Trillium Lake shoreline. Looks like that's the paved path coming from the other side we already did. And then here's 35. This has got a nice turnabout RV style parking, or just a couple massive SUVs. So this one's got a picnic table, fire pit. I'm gonna go down these steps. Now I will say, see right there, that is the main campground trail to the shoreline. They are literally like, what is that, 8 feet away from your fire pit? So that's poor privacy lines, big time. So I don't like this one. You have the turnabout, but you never feel like you leave the parking lot. Like the picnic table just feels like it's up against the parking lot. This is a claustrophobic area with your fire pit, and then you've got your paved trail where people are walking by all day. I don't like this one at all. So I would not pick 35. Kind of what I was saying before, 34 is least offset into the forest. So you feel like you're, actually in the forest. Whereas 35, it feels like you never really stopped tailgating in the parking lot. So not ideal. Here's 36. Now this one feels crammed in here. This one I'm not a fan of. Like you can see the road, this is the main road. It's just like they created a little shoulder, like they just paved wider right here. Obviously you just park right where I'm standing, right here. And then it's like, feels like this one they just crammed in. You go up these little steps and here you are. And no suspended disbelief that you're in the forest, like you're just kind of hanging out right above the main driveway. I don't like this one at all. Parking, you've got your picnic table, you got your barbecue, your fire pit kind of on top of each other. One flat spot straight ahead, you kind of have to put your tent right there because it's the only choice. Oh, look at this. This makes it even worse. Not to be so negative about 36, but see this paved section, this is the main campground trail to the shoreline. So you got people walking right by there. Talk about fishbowl. So imagine you have your tent right here and you hear people talking and they're walking literally like 3 feet from your tent. That's horrible. And then you're totally fishbowled. You got no like forest to feel like you're actually at Mount Hood National Forest, and you're right above this glorified little attic section above the road. So this is a horrible sight. You could also put your tent straight ahead there. That would help with that, but it doesn't really solve the problem of people walking right by. So 36 might, in my opinion, be the worst site here as far as just kind of feel like they crammed one more in that maybe they didn't need to cram in. So yeah, not a fan of 36. Keeping it real. Okay, so we're back to that initial turn. We're going 3757 and the boat ramp's over here too. So we're over halfway done. I really do love this campground. This is quintessential Mount Hood National Forest. I think when most people think of camping in Mount Hood National Forest, the first campground they think of is Trillium Lake. So it's kind of, I'd say the Trillium Lake area and the Timothy Lake area, kind of the two dual flagships of the Mount Hood National Forest area, kind of the quintessential experience. Here's 37, and it's on the right. This is the Trillium Lake side, particularly dark section of forest, which I like. Good shade, good parking, nice long driveway, well paved. That's a consistent theme of this campground. Here's your picnic table, fire pit. Probably put your tent straight ahead. 37 is pretty high quality, actually. You've got the shoreline trail straight ahead, but you got a bit of a forested gap to the point where it's not in your business. You could also probably put another tent over there. So you got a couple of places you can put your tent, or a couple tents. So I'm impressed with 37, actually. I thought 37 was pretty good. As far as being up against the Trillium Lake shoreline, it's not bad, and you can see you have a kind of a forested path over to the Shoreline Trail. So 37, pretty good. I think it's better than some of those first ones like 3 and that kind of stuff because it's not right up against the Shoreline Trail. So I like 37 quite a bit. Here's a camp post situation. It looks like it's got some infrastructure in it. So I won't take a look at 38 too much, just initial impression. But it has some equipment, so I'm just gonna skip that one. I don't think we're missing out on much. Wouldn't be my recommendation anyway. Here's 39 on the right. This is again on the Trillium Lake side, and nice long driveway. I'm blown away by the driveways. I've done so many other campgrounds where the driveways are poor quality and it becomes an issue as far as the bumpiness. All of the driveways here are amazing. Now, I love this. This is awesome. 39's epic. Look at this. Great driveway, big, expansive section of forest. You got your picnic table, fire pit, huge flat area. I mean, you can get a massive tent right there. That's impressive. Probably the dings against it. I mean, there's a grandiose feel to 39. I'll say that. The dings against it is that's the Shoreline Trail, 20 feet from me on the other side of that long log. So you got people walking by. So that's negative. And you do have your friend right there, line of sight, presumably 40 or 41, probably 40. So that's not good. So again, it's trade-offs. If you want to be on the Trillium Lake side and you want a big shaded forested campsite, has an epic feel to it, and you won't have like a giant 10-person tent, you're worried about the size of the tent, then 39 might be the spot for you. But not good lot lines with your friend next to you, and you do have a little bit closer access to the shoreline trail as far as privacy than 37. So I'd probably pick 37 over 39, my humble opinion, but 39 is definitely worth staying at. I wouldn't say it's a bad site. It's just a matter of trade-offs. And okay, so this is 40 up there. So that was 41 we were looking at over there, the water spigot. Here's 40. This is an inner. You're going up opposite direction of Trillium Lake. They did a good job of offsetting it from the forest road, so you got better privacy. So you come up here. As far as inners go, this is actually a above average inner. Got some flat areas to put a tent over there. You can put a tent over there. Picnic table, fire pit, no barbecue station, it appears. You're far enough away from the main forest road that it doesn't feel like it's in your business. 40 is pretty good, I'd say. 40 is pretty good. Ooh, you see there's a picnic table between these trees straight ahead, so sorry to speak a little too soon. You do have your neighbor right next to you. That's a little close for my taste. So 40 is a decent inner. It's away from Trillium Lake. They put some effort into carving it around the corner, so it's got okay privacy, but fortunately they put your friend right next to you. Too close for my comfort. So I wouldn't recommend 40, but as far as inners go, it's above average, I'd say. Okay, now we got 41, Trillium Lakeside. That's long driveway. This one's got good proximity to 39, which I don't like. It's like right next to it. So here's the picnic table, fire pit. See right there, different colored picnic table, more of a cedar color, but straight ahead. Put your tent right here. You can put your tent straight ahead. Beautiful section of forest, good shade overall. But now look at your shoreline trail access is a little too close for my comfort. So let's say you put your tent right here, and then you've got this little shoreline trail. This is going to take you down to the main shoreline loop. So let's see how close it is. See right there, you can see the main shoreline loop right there. A little close for my comfort. So, I mean, at least it's not right up in your business. It's not like it's 10 feet from your picnic table, 10, 15 feet. Some of those other sites were. So it's offset that it gives you some privacy. The sun between those trees. So I don't know, this is a mixed bag. You're close to the shoreline trail, but you have outstanding shade. A couple great places to put your tent. Look pretty good. You do have your neighbor right next to you right over there, but you can't have everything in life, right? So, I don't know. These are kind of difficult ones to analyze and triangulate because they're like B plus in a lot of areas and a couple negatives, and just ends up being your triaging. So that's a pretty good one. I'd say 41's decent. One of the better ones as far as being closer to Trillium Lake shoreline loop. And here's 42. This is again an upper inner. We're in the inside track. We're not on the Trillium Lake side. It's offset a little bit from the forest road. That's nice. You got picnic table, fire pit, a couple places you can put a tent right here. Not great privacy lines with your friend over there, probably 44 or whatever number that is. And I already discussed before, look how close that one is. That's way too close for my comfort. That's 40. So for those two reasons, because you're triangulated in a row of 3 in this inner upper section, I would not do this one. So for me, that's a deal breaker, just front end deal breaker. There's 57 sites here. There's a lot better sites. This would be in the bottom 3rd site. Really, maybe the bottom 10th site. It's 42. And here's 43. Straight ahead is the boat ramp section for Shoreline Lake. We've got a water spigot on our left. Here's 43. Drive Park. Beautiful section of forest. Lots of good shade. Good place to put your tent. Picnic table, fire pit. You do kind of have your friend right next to you over there. I believe that was 41. So a little close for my comfort. Not idyllic, but manageable. You'd presumably put your tent over here. I'll walk over here. This is like clearly the big flat place, so I feel like this is probably where tents are put, right here. Now this is interesting. If you want close proximity to the lake, then this is a really good one, actually, 43, because look how close you are. I mean, you're, whatever that is, 30, 40 feet away from the lake. Obviously that means right here, 10 feet from me is the shoreline trail. So see, you got people meandering here, they're meandering on by, looking back over at your site, but at least you've got some good blockage, line of sight blockage for your picnic table with this cluster of trees. So that's a pretty good one. Then you come down here to your shoreline access, which is very nice. And lo and behold, you are at the Splendor, the Alpine Crown Jewel. If I come over here, I can get a little bit of the peak. So good shoreline access from 43. Continue to hike along. Again, here's your forest shoreline loop. And now we're back to 43. I would say because the picnic table is very well protected from line of sight with all these trees. Again, put your tent right here. 43 is actually a very good one. So, I mean, here's your picnic table and your fire pit. Here's your shoreline access. The line of sight is so that even when people are walking down the trail, they don't have a great sight at your picnic table. And then you get your own shoreline access directly to a little beach that gives you some views of Trillium. So 43 is really good, actually. So if you covet proximity to Trillium and you're willing to let a little bit of privacy go as far as people walking down the shoreline trail, then 43 is one of the best ones. You even have a water spigot right next to you. So look at that. 43 is pretty epic. I gotta say, that's a top tier. That's a top pick. And here's 44. This is an upper inner. It's the opposite direction of Trillium. I don't like this bay to my left because there's like a row. Poor lot line. See, there's your friend right there. No line of sight breakage. You're offset in the forest. You got picnic table, fire pit, several flat places you can put a tent. You can probably put a tent straight ahead. So 44, put my tent right there. Obviously, it's the only place you would naturally put it. But I don't know. Not one of the best ones here. Something about this row of upper inners that I'm on right now, the opposite side of Trillium Lake, where for some reason they put all the picnic tables like in a row. So it's like horrible line of sight, and I don't know why they did that. Contrast that to what we were doing before, like 22, 23, and 28, where each one was carefully, meticulously crafted around corners. And once you got there, you felt like you were in your own little swath of forest, a total sense of privacy. I covered that privacy feeling like I'm kind of in my own little world, rather than just kind of being in a, it's like the equivalent of being in a cookie cutter development where every house is identical. That's what those four felt like to me. So here's our restroom right here, the end of this bay. We just got to 44. Now we're kind of in the campers only section. So I really like how they've designed this. This is not a day use area. This is a boat ramp only for people camping at Trillium Lake, the 57 campsites. So they recognize there's enough people camping here that the campers need their own boat ramp. So this is the boat ramp for the 57 campsites, no day use. And then there's a separate day use area for people who aren't camping to my left. There's an interconnected trail system you can get over to. And then of course there's the day use dam area, which is a gorgeous money shot of Trillium Lake. So here's our boat ramp, boat launch from the Trillium Lake Campground. So there's one of two, and the one you would use if you were actually camping here. So you can see it's nice and smooth and gently goes right into the gorgeous, incredible Trillium Lake. Here's our Trillium Lake trail that we keep seeing going up against the site. And now let's keep going on to 45, 46, and 47. We're definitely on the back end of this campground. We've done the lion's share. This is a few parking spots reserved for overnight campers. I'm glad they have that. And now we're going on to we're getting to the last loop here pretty shortly. There's 57 sites, and now we're to 45. And here at site 45, you can see it's got a roundabout. It's got the 45 in white etched in on it. So this is part of the parking right here for 45. I will say you've got parking there too. So this is it says it's a double site. So, and you got parking right here. So you got like 3 parking spots paved. And then you've got a quad of picnic tables, has a party mosh fit feel, good for a raucous group. Nice little section of Mount Hood National Forest, picnic table, barbecue, double barbecue station. In fact, I will mention you do have the forest trail over there, Shoreline Trail to your right, so you will have a little bit of foot traffic. And the murmurs of people walking by. Look at that sun peeking through. That is gorgeous. So this is definitely like a group party play. It's a double site with 4 picnic tables. Definitely not one that you're looking for like a single family pin drop quiet experience, more of like a big group of friends or a family reunion or something like that. So 45 is interesting. Would also be a good RV play if you have a big group. Here's 46. Not as big of a fan. It's an inner. You're kind of staring at the forest road across the way. Looks claustrophobic. I'd put my tent on the left, and then you got a picnic table, fire pit right here. There's really no section of private forest access. I do not like 46. That's, I think, one of the worst ones we've seen here. Here's 47. You've got a double parking lot. You've got 1 parking spot right here and 1 parking spot right there. So you got 2 parking spots. And then we come around here, you've got your picnic table and barbecue station. I dig how they've put it on the other side of this for privacy. So you have that. I will say you don't have a natural place to put your tent other than straight ahead. Now imagine if you put your tent there and you have a big raucous group of people over there, because it's a quad picnic table, you're gonna be able to hear them from your picnic, from your tent. So I'm not a fan of the layout of 47. I like how they put the picnic table and barbecue around the corner, but I think the natural place to put your tent forces you into kind of the party atmosphere of 45. I can imagine a scenario where you're sitting in your tent and you can hear people from 45 all night, get a horrible night's sleep, and then you're frustrated and you're not a happy camper. And you want to be a happy camper. So let's keep going this way. So this, my friend, is the last section, 48 to 57. And then we are done with Trillium Lake. Here is 48. Here's a kiosk on the left of the bathroom. Again, double site. These are up against the forest, so that's nice. See, here's your parking and more of your parking. So they really mean it when they say double site. You got a turnabout and you got parking right here. So 48's a bit like 45. 45 had 4 picnic tables. This one only has 2. This one does still also have a double barbecue station and a fire pit. So I'm digging this one quite a bit. Definitely a big group area. You could put a tent right over here is the obvious natural spot. Not a lot of other places, keeping it real. So 48's pretty cool. I will also say you've got the bathroom right there. So if you've got members of your party, if you've got a big group, you're doing this double site at 48, you're up against the forest and you've got convenient bathroom access. So for some people, that's a critical component of it, which I totally appreciate. So that's good for 48. Here's 49. This is an upper inner. We're going up and we're going into the forest. This is kind of a landlocked one, so we don't really have any feature on any side. Kind of a flat spot there, but I really wouldn't want to put my tent there right across from the bathroom, so that just kind of feels like wasted space. And then you've got picnic table, fire pit. Put a tent straight ahead there. Put a tent over here, but so straight ahead there, now you're getting to a different campsite. So I'm not a big fan of 49. These to me are the worst of every world because you're not up against the lake, you're not up against the forest, you got poor privacy lines, you're in an upper inner, kind of in the middle of the campground. So I wouldn't do 49. I mean, but as I said, all of the ones here are pretty high quality. So even some of the worst ones here are better than some of the decent ones at other campgrounds. So there's only a few here that I really didn't like. Most of them are very serviceable. Here's 50, another double. This seems to be the double site row. We got parking there. We got a turnabout. And that goes around to the forest road. You got another parking spot here. And let's check out the digs. Got, it looks like a couple picnic tables and a barbecue station and a fire pit. So yeah, this is very nice. And this is pretty offset. You can see 48 over there, but you can live with that. It's not the worst lot lines. So this is very nice. I like this log. Kind of gives you a place where people can sit or put out gear or, you know, use it as part of your furniture, like I like to do with logs of this height. So yeah, it's a pretty good one actually. I like 50. Interesting. Seems like this campground is kind of designed in ways where you have sections that are intended to be more single family tent campers and other sections a little bit more RV or big group party situations or family reunions or big group of friends or whatever it is. That's why they're double sites. But they've got that feel too, so they're well designed for that. 51 upper inner, already developing my disdain for it just on my own bias. Come up here, and yeah, I don't think this is a very good one. You're not really up against a feature. You don't have a lot of forest. You're not up against Trillium Lake. You got your picnic table, your fire pit. I'd probably either put my tent straight ahead over there or my tent straight ahead over there. A little bit of a claustrophobic site, not really anything special going on with it. That's the nature of an upper inner. So works, but not destination worthy. And we got a restroom across the way, kiosk, very forested, shaded restroom straight ahead. So wastewater, no sewage across. Let's continue along. We are almost done. Here's 52. Got a driveway. Got your fire pit straight ahead. The picnic table's a little bit to the left, offset. You can see the picnic table of your friend right next to you, straight ahead, so that's not good lot lines. Not really a big fan. You got a little bit of forest. You could put your tent straight ahead there. I don't know. It doesn't feel like a great site to me. So not the biggest fan. Serviceable base camp if you're maybe exploring the area, but not one that I would seek out by any means. More of I call that consolation camping, where it's like, well, it's the only one available. I wanted to be in the area, so I picked 52, but it's not like you were stoked on 52 and you had to be there. It was just kind of campsite of last resort. Here's 53, and nice long driveway. At least this is up against the forest. See, I like these ones up against the end of the forest better. They have less of that claustrophobic fishbowl feel. Picnic table, fire pit. Put your tent right there. You could put tent over there or over there even. So you got several places to put your tent. I like that this is up against the forest because you just kind of naturally, it feels good to come over here. This is like this extended forest is your backyard. So I actually really like this one. This one's pretty interesting. So actually I gotta say, I don't love how close the picnic table and fire pit is to your driveway. And see, you can see presumably what that is, probably 54's picnic table from right here. So that's kind of a miss. Imagine if you're sitting right here looking at your fire pit, which doesn't look very deep by the way, and you look up and you see like, why? I just don't get it. So I don't like this one anywhere in the same league as like 22, 23, or 28. That was my favorite part of this campground thus far, and probably since we're almost done the whole place. But that said, this is in the top tier of single family, single party privacy plays because you're up against the forest. You can kind of shade back there a bit, put your tent back there, and this is definitely in the top tier. So I would recommend 53. I think it makes the cut for the upper tier of the single family, single party campsites. But I didn't like it as much as 22, 23, or 28. So that's where I would place that one. Here's 54. I didn't love that you could see 54 from the fire pit of 53, but here's your driveway and little offset, which is good. Got your picnic table, fire pit behind it. Probably put your tent there on the right. Looks like the obvious place they want you to put it. Or actually there's another one. So maybe a lot of times they have spots for 2 tents. So you can put it there, or if you only have one, obviously you get to pick. I don't know, not feeling it. It's okay. It's serviceable, good base camp if you're hiking the area, but not a top tier site here, not destination worthy. I wouldn't seek out 54, but if I had to stay at 54 and going to spend the whole day up at Timberline or something, then I could live with that. 55, man, we're close. See there? Straight ahead, that's the end. That's the end of the line. So we're down to our last 3. 55, this is probably going to be similar to 53. Nice driveway. Ooh, I will say I like that the picnic table is offset. I don't like that right over there is the end of the campground. So you got the road noise and you have the road noise straight ahead of the main road. But that said, I do like that they put the trouble of putting this picnic table and fire pit on the other side of this brushery, so it's not immediately visible when you come down. So that's a win. Over there is 53, but you have pretty good breakage, line of sight, so that's pretty good privacy. You come over here, you probably put your tent straight ahead. Could put it right here, but I probably would put it straight ahead over here. This makes more sense, feels a little bit more open. So I'm digging this. This is actually really nice. I wanted to see if there was another site over here, but it doesn't look like there is, at least in your immediate proximity. So this is actually pretty good. I like this one. This is a good privacy play. 53 and 55 are both pretty good. They're the best over on this wing as far as privacy for a single family, single party. Again, not as good as 22, 23, 28 in my humble opinion, but very high quality. So here's your driveway, here's your picnic table and fire pit. It's around a corner. You do get the sun break, which is beautiful. You're right up against the forest. Doesn't feel claustrophobic. The forest, Mount Hood National Forest, Old Growth Forest, is your backyard. So I'm digging 55. I think 53 and 55 are definitely top tier campsites here. So you never know how it's gonna delineate as you walk around. And I really liked those two. And here is 56, second to last. You got picnic table, fire pit, restroom, got some kind of Dr. Seuss, Tim Burton, eclectic trees, adds visual interest. You're right up against the main forest road, and you're kind of right at the beginning of the campground, right when you drive up. So you're gonna hear a lot more road noise than average here. Decent, above average for an inner, but I wouldn't pick it for those reasons. I think there's a lot better sites here, so I probably wouldn't do 56, but it's not bad. I would say 56 is a well-designed, serviceable base camp, but not a site to be sought after. And here's 57. Last but not least, you can see we're at the end of the line. To the right is the exit out of Trillium Lake Campground. It's actually a ding against it that it's this close to the main road, because you're gonna get a lot of road noise. Here's your long driveway, here's your picnic table, fire pit. Right there feels like a natural spot for your tent, but now you're right up against the paving, and now you got this road all around you like a U. Not great. As I said, picnic table, fire pit, barbecue. You can also put tent here. Ooh, I don't like 57. I feel like it's kind of reminds me of 36 over on the other side, like crammed in here, and it's too close to the infrastructure. I think if you stayed at 57, you never really escape that I'm camping in a parking lot feel, which to me, I want to escape if I'm bothering to come out here to Trillium Lake Campground. So, muy interesante. Okay, so we just walked all of the campsites here at Trillium Lake Campground. I should say we started at number 2 and went from 2 to 57. So we did 56 of the 57. The only reason I didn't do the first one is it was fully occupied. But candidly, it didn't look like a good site, so I don't think we missed anything. It was an inner, and I didn't like it. So I was able to get 56 to 57. I'm going to call that good. I'm not going to put in the effort to come back and get that last site, because I could just tell right away I wouldn't stay there anymore. So putting that aside, I'll give you my final recommendations. It all depends on the perspective from which you are camping. If you are a single family looking for privacy, single family, single party, maybe a couple, whatever it may be, and you kind of want to strike that balance between being at Trillium Lake but having good lot lines and having a sense of like your own little swath of forest, I liked 22, 23, 28, and then probably 53 and 55. Like those are my 5 favorite, not necessarily in that order, but I like the 320s better than the 250s. So if I was bringing my family to Trillium, I would focus on those 5. None of them are right on Trillium Lake, but a lot of them have side trails, and you get more of a sense of privacy. So those are my 5 favorite, but I understand that I'm doing this from my perspective, and different strokes, different folks, right? So if we're looking at it from an RV perspective, I really like 16, and I really liked 34. Have the roundabout parking with multiple parking spots, so you don't have to ever turn around the RV, and they all kind of had bigger forest square footage, so you feel like you're not just parking, tailgating a parking lot, you're actually hanging out in the forest. And I assume if you're RV camping, you actually want to get the forest experience. There's a row of them right up against Trillium Lake that have that trade-off of, having the Shoreline trail go right next to them, so you lose the privacy, but you gain the access. There was 5 or 6 of those. I'll have to double check to see which ones I thought were the best, but so those are worth considering as well. If you really just want to focus on the lake, heck or high water, then obviously you'd want to go with those. I will point out kind of a random anomaly, Site 15 had the best Mount Hood Peak view, sitting right from your picnic table. You have like a direct money shot just because of the way of the framing between the trees and the forest. You have like a direct, perfect money shot of Mount Hood Peak sitting literally from the picnic table of 15. So if you're like all about Mount Hood Peak, and I understand that, and you just want to be able to see Mount Hood Peak from your site, and that to you is the single biggest, most important aspect, then I would actually pick Site 15, because from my vantage point, going around and walking all 57 sites, that was the best view of Mount Hood Peak of this entire 57 campsite zone. So I will say it's worth going over to the Trillium Lake Dam day use area. I went over there right at sunrise, and I was the only one there, kind of a lucky alignment. And there's an ethereal mist fog coming from the lake, and you got Trillium Lake and Mount Hood National Forest framing the peak of Mount Hood, tallest mountain in the great state of Oregon. It's kind of a quintessential money shot of the Mount Hood area, the state of Oregon itself. So just seeing Mount Hood framed by Trillium Lake, framed by Mount Hood National Forest from the Trillium Dam day use area is like a special, majestic shot view of the area. So highly recommend that. If you come camp at Trillium Lake Campground, you're missing out if you don't go over there. You do it in the morning or later in the day, but if you do it in the morning, you could potentially be the only one there if you put in the effort to go over there early enough. Maybe a good way to watch the sunrise or the sunset. So that concludes my campground review of Trillium Lake Campground. I'd say this is definitely quintessential Mount Hood. A lot of people, when they think of Mount Hood National Forest, they think of either Trillium or they think of the Timothy Lake area. Some people think of Frog Lake or Clear Lake, but those are kind of, maybe we'll say, the four pillars, the four horsemen of Mount Hood National Forest from a camping perspective. So that concludes my Trillium Lake Campground review. Here we are at the day use boat dock of Trillium Lake. You can see the gorgeous views of Mount Hood National Forest and ultimately Mount Hood, tallest mountain in the great state of Oregon, being framed by the beautiful Trillium Lake. Very smooth, high quality day use boat ramp. We've got a restroom kiosk straight ahead as the sun beams across our mountain wonderland zone, Mount Hood National Forest. Look at how beautiful this is. There's our main forest trail. And again, here is our boat ramp, boat launch, boat dock, and the absolutely incredible views of Mount Hood National Forest. Look at that. Here is the path to the pavilion. The community located restroom right here. And this is very well paved. We've got a roofed pavilion with some picnic tables up here on the left, kind of tucked into this old growth National Forest wonderland. And look at how beautiful this is. We'll come up and take a closer look. And got a bench, high quality bench, and ultimately our covered pavilion. And another bench on that side. Looks like 3 picnic tables. Looks like you got a path down to picnic table at the shoreline of Trillium Lake. Another picnic table over here, another bench over here. A lot of infrastructure. Let's look up at this fine A-frame style, rustic log cabin style craftsmanship, which I am personally an aficionado of. Very beautiful, very high quality, very quintessential Mount Hood. And let's look up here. Oh, this is gorgeous. I'm digging it. Pretty high quality pavilion. And let's continue to hike along. Got a series of picnic tables, day use sites over here on the left. These are not campsites. I've already walked the 57 campsites, and these are not 2 of them. You can see they have little barbecue stations, I like to call them. A couple rustic well-forested picnic sites, a lot of infrastructure here at Trillium Lake. And here we've got another picnic table. This one is not shaded, but is prime location. Let's come down here to Shoreline. If you are a fan of old growth forests, the Trillium Lake area is pretty much your dream destination. It's one of the most shaded old growth forest ecological profile footprint zones that you're ever going to find. It's got a very gorgeous, ethereal, almost mystical quality to it. Old growth forest, very dense, creating a lot of shade and kind of a very rustic feeling in this area. I personally absolutely love it. I would say that the Trillium Lake area is quintessential Mount Hood National Forest. Here's our sign for Trillium Lake. And let's go take a look at this particular boat ramp launch. There's a couple different places you can launch a boat. There's the day use area. This is the edge of the campground zone. And you've got a well-paved boat ramp launch. We've got an ethereal, misty fog coming off Timothy Lake, which I just can't get enough of, frankly. And look at this. Goes right into the water. Oh, this is gorgeous. Come over here and you're starting to get the silhouette of a beautiful Mount Hood. We're here at the Trillium Dam Day Use Area here in Mount Hood National Forest, Oregon. And it is just around sunrise, October 24th, 2024. And let's go take a look at this beautiful area. Loving the fall colors of the trees across the way. And look at that, my friend. The gorgeous, incredible, beautiful, mighty Mount Hood. Look at that. That is gorgeous. I'm loving the ethereal fog mist coming off the Trillium Lake. Let's walk this way. Again, this is the Trillium Dam Day Use Area. That is a beautiful sight. Little bridge here, footbridge. And this is definitely the shoreline with the money shot of Mount Hood. Look at that. Gosh, that is gorgeous. You got a picnic table over there, day use site. This is not a camping area. This is a day use area. And I know this is a very popular shoreline right here. Hang out here and just enjoy this majestic view. This is one of the best views in the entire Mount Hood area, at least this quadrant of the Mount Hood National Forest. Oh, look at this. Look at this. You've got a single, looks like maybe dock right there on Trillium Lake, creating its own ripples. This is Majestic. This is a destination-worthy day use site. And this is very high quality. interesting the way this infrastructure is designed. Like these cylindrical cages. Very interesting. You can see it looks like a wooden edifice dock straight ahead. Oh, this is gorgeous. This, my friend, is Mountain Lake Forest Serenity. And this is a pretty long, extended shoreline too, so that's nice. I'm pretty blown away by these views. Mount Hood is spectacular. That is the tallest mountain in the great state of Oregon. Well over 11,000 feet. Very nice. And you still got some white snow on the side of Mount Hood. More infrastructure here, interesting. Let me stop here. Oh, this is gorgeous. And we're almost to the end of the line. The mountain's starting to fall behind the forest. Now this, my friend, is a mountain lake forest wonderland. Let me pin over here. I'm at the Trillium Lake Dam Day Use area. And look at how absolutely beautiful this is. Oh, this is gorgeous. Seeing some ethereal fog, some mist coming off the lake. It's a bit of a hauntingly beautiful quality. You can see the wooden edifice dock straight ahead there on the right. We've got a lot of great infrastructure. We've got it's like a duck coming up to say hello. Good morning, sir. And you have this beautiful shoreline to our left. And you've even got a day-use picnic area to your right there, up against glorious Mount Hood National Forest. This duck does not appear concerned about my presence. Oh, look at how beautiful this is. The beautiful, incredible Trillium Lake, framed by the tallest mountain in the great state of Oregon. Beautiful Mount Hood. Oh, this is gorgeous. I gotta say, this is a pretty high quality day use area. This is destination worthy in itself. Today is October 24th, 2024. It's just after sunrise. It's about 29 degrees. It's a little chilly. We're right in that transition where it's gonna start snowing in the next week. So from my look at the calendar, today is actually the last day of the season, the fall season, where you're not gonna start having a snow accumulation. So wanted to get one last look, come out here, enjoy the beauty that is Mount Hood, framed by the ethereal Trillium Lake. Oh, this is gorgeous.